So I run my business for almost 20 years, and I started when I was really young, and I said I need to do something different. And I made my first like $80,000 in the first 4 months of me starting my business. And I'm like, wow, I made 60K a year working as a junior accountant in a company. And I made $80,000 in just 4 months. I said, you know what? I'm doing really well. Let me grow and double my income second year, third year, and fourth year. And then I got really big. I had a 10-person office in the city, and we started making a lot of money. And I thought that I was going to go to jail because I made a lot of money. My name is Michaelov, and I'm licensed by the IRS. I'm also licensed in 50 states, and I am the owner of Empire Tax Advisors. I'm also the founder of Practice Wealth Partners, which focuses on accounting services, virtual CFO services, tax planning services, specifically for dentists. So what we do is we're an all-in-one tax and accounting services offering business owners with bookkeeping, payroll, tax prep, sales tax, individual tax returns, business tax returns, and everything under one roof. And the reason that I created this specific service was because business owners were going from bookkeeper to accountant to payroll service provider, and they were just so confused with multiple financial hats in their departments, and they were very confused, overwhelmed, and not getting anything done. So I made a decision and I innovated back in 2016 where I said, I need to really do everything in-house and offer an all-in-one inclusive services for bookkeeping, tax, payroll, everything under one roof. So that's why we offer it to business owners, and it's been such a big hit. We're getting a lot of business owners that are coming to us, and all of them are saying, I'm tired of communicating with multiple people. I just want to work with one person that understands and reviews the entire situation. And we also offer tax planning, which is a lot of CPAs don't offer that. Proactive tax planning, reviewing your specific situation. And that's something huge. And most accounting firms don't offer that. So a lot of business owners are just, I'm so busy right now offering this service because we innovated doing this.
I am super intrigued to talk about all this stuff because I find taxes super, super interesting. I think that most business owners kind of avoid the topic because I think that, I've had this conversation many times on the podcast that a lot of business owners aren't necessarily business savvy. They just happen to be very good at their craft or their
That's right.
trade or their hobby, and then they start making money, and now they're like, oh, now I have to run a business.
Exactly.
And it's two very, very, you can be the best. We could just talk about pottery for a second because like now you're really great at making pots and pans and stuff with pottery, clay stuff, and then all of a sudden people want to buy it, and now it's like, oh, now I have to run, now I have employees, now I have to manage the rent and the space, and now I have to do taxes and sales tax. They didn't sign up for that,
Exactly.
and but on the other hand, I love this stuff. I love business, and that's why I had this podcast. I love to talk to business owners and hearing stuff, and I've always loved learning questions. So I'm like, I'm pumped for this conversation. One thing I want to talk about is you mentioned that do you specifically just work with dentists and stuff, or is that
No,
a separate business
it's
that?
a separate
Okay,
business. So
so can you delineate the two a
yeah,
little
of
bit more?
course. So Empire Tax Advisors focuses on all the other businesses, like service-based businesses that are not dentists and doctors. And then Practice Wealth Partners specifically focuses on dentists and doctors because most of them have a very high net profit and they need advanced tax planning to reduce their taxable liability. The average business owner doesn't have a high profit. They're maybe making 50K to $100,000 profit on an average basis. Some may be doing a lot more, but most dentists that are very successful, they have a profit of 500,000, of $1 million. Some of them even $2 million. I have clients that have a very high net worth and they need more advanced tax planning. And that is why I separated the two, because they need a lot more attention.
I am so interested in this conversation right now because I think that I just love the concept of tax planning. I think that so many people don't think about it, and there are so many different things that you can do just to save money. People don't even just have no concept of it, or just not even to save money, but just to plan properly. Because all of a sudden, even on a smaller scale, most businesses are like, oh shoot, I owe $7,000, which isn't a ton of money, but like when you don't
Right.
plan for that and you're only making $30,000 to $50,000 in profit, and now you have 7,000 going, that's whatever. I mean,
Yeah, that's a lot.
that's a lot of
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
large chunk of money that you got to
hmm
dish out.
And you could reinvest that into marketing or advertising if you do proactive planning. You could not pay it to the IRS. All you're doing is shifting the income going from the IRS to reinvesting it into your business. So it gives you a higher ROI, such as putting it into advertising dollars or marketing or hiring or renting a bigger space that would give you at least 3 to 4x ROI versus just giving it to the IRS. They have to be proactive in planning. And like you said, most business owners don't do that and they're not business savvy, but they need to be business savvy or else they're going to retire at 70, not
Mm.
50 or 60 when they really want to.
That is an incredibly powerful, I guess, hook or whatever you want to say,
Mhm.
point, because I know so many business owners, even within my family, that are in their 50s and they don't have any chance of retiring anytime soon.
Mhm.
Probably another 15, 20 years. My grandfather's still working, and
Wow.
he owns an architecture. Now, I don't know if he necessarily needs to work
Right.
or wants to work, but
Right.
still, like, he lost a lot of money on a housing investment in '08. So, like, but that being said,
Mhm.
um, you're right. The average business owner works until they're in their
Yeah,
70s,
and
and
nobody wants that.
yeah,
We start businesses, we work our 80 to 90 hours a week so we could speed up time and not have a 40-year work, right? And so we could do everything in 10, 15 years because we're working double the time. But if you don't proactively plan, you're going to work forever,
yeah,
which is
absolutely,
really scary.
yeah.
And you have to plan, and most people ignore it, and then they're going to be working till 70, 80 years old. And no, thank you. I don't want that.
I want to just I have a random question about the dentists versus the
Yeah.
typical business. Why do you find that the dentists have such a higher profit margin?
They charge a lot more. And they're like, we have dentists that make like 2 million a month.
But how come they can get away with it and other businesses can't?
They no, because a lot of business owners they don't know how to charge or they don't think big enough.
Mm,
And they're not their goals aren't making 100,000 or 500,000 a month. These dentists, a lot of them are very ambitious,
mm,
so it's not, it has nothing to do with the profession, but a lot of business owners, regular business owners, for some reason that I speak to, some make 1 million a year, some make a few million a year, but the dental world, they're very profitable.
mm.
It's a crazy niche.
So it sounds like it really just comes down to more mentality than even just profit
I
margin
think it is.
within the business. That's
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah, I also think that they have a lot of debt, which is why they have
Mm.
massive drive to do really well. I think dentists, what do they sell? Like crowns, like plastic for $50,000 an hour. They do teeth in a day. They like do full arch and things like that. So they're very profitable.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, I love business. I'm an accountant, but I'm obsessed with business. I have a team of 25, and I'm not the accountant in my company. I
Mm,
have CPAs working for me. I am a business owner and I run my company as a business.
yeah.
And
So
most people don't think like you said, the pottery person, they're thinking about their specific thing. You have to get out of yourself and be that business owner if you
mm.
really want to grow and scale. It's a mindset.
So let's piggyback on that. I want to hear a little bit more. So how did you get into what you're doing, and then what, like, so you grew the team. Talk to me a little bit about that. So now you have this business owner mindset.
Right.
I'm assuming you just started probably by yourself,
I
correct?
did,
So then
yeah, and I did
what
everything.
shifted to now you running this 25-person team, and
Mhm.
what would just talk to me all about that.
Okay. So I run my business for almost 20 years. It's going to be 20 years in February. And I started when I was really young and I said, I need to do something different. Well, first of all, I don't know if you know that my father went to jail for not paying his taxes. And he ended up paying $1.5 million in taxes. So as I was 18 years old when that happened, U.S. Marshals came to my house, they raided my house, they broke my door, they like had guns to us.
That's crazy.
Literally, they gunned us down, and it was very scary. And I said, "This can't be." My father was an amazing person, and he ended up getting deported to his country because he didn't pay his sales tax. And my father was an amazing person. Like he passed away because of all of the stress, which is why I have this passion to
Wow.
help business owners. Because when the IRS changes the law at irs.gov or New York State changes the law, they don't let the business owners know, hey, there's a memo that you need to know. Nobody's helping business owners and letting them know, hey, if you open a corporation, you should be incorporated as an S corp. There's no guidance. The government doesn't help us become successful for some
Mm.
reason. They rely on accountants and trusted advisors like us, so we guide them and help them. So I started my business. I was the only accountant. I was taking on clients from the community, and I prepared returns. I picked up phones. I answered emails. I set flyers out. I marketed. I went crazy doing everything. And I had this mindset from my parents. And I made my first like $80,000 in the first 4 months of me starting my business. And I'm like, wow, I made 60K a year working as a junior accountant in a company. And I made $80,000 in just 4 months. And that was the best thing ever. I was able to take the summers off with my kids and really enjoy the rest of the year because I only made $80,000 in 4 months. Then I said, you know what? I'm doing really well. Let me grow and double my income second year, third year, and fourth year. So every year I challenged myself to double my income every year. And then I said, you know what? Every year I'm going to hire a new employee. So first year I hired my first employee, second year, and then I got really big. I had a 10-person office in the city and we started making a lot of money. And I thought that I was going to go to jail because I made a lot of money. I got so scared. I was like, holy shit, I'm making too much money. What's happening? So I'm like, you know what? Let me hire more people. And I started growing this business like crazy. And I said, you know what? I need to run this operation more efficiently. I can't be the accountant, and you can't be in your business, and you can't be
Mhm.
on your business. So slowly but slowly, I started creating SOPs in my business, and I started shifting my responsibilities over to these new employees. And as I started, I said, you know what, to the new clients, I said, you know, XYZ is going to be handling your tax returns. And I explained to them exactly how I want things done because there are employees. They don't know how entrepreneurs think.
Mhm.
And I taught them the way we as entrepreneurs think and how we want things. We want things fast. We're very proactive. We don't want to ask additional questions. And I trained my team to think that way. And so I started hiring more people and I removed myself from that position. The first position I removed myself was the accountant. So now I got the accounting team delivery in solid shape. And then I became the person that answered all the calls and taking all the calls. So believe it or not, that is the most important position in the entire company. Because when you're listening to specific prospects of their pain points and what they need help with, and then diagnosing their specific problems and giving them a solution on the call, I loved that position. I loved it. So, and then I was able to tell them, okay, here's the price for us to work together. And by the way, I do that now. I started taking all my calls and my business skyrocketed because of me quoting people properly. In the past, I had someone, an accountant, listening to these calls and they would quote clients inaccurately because they're thinking from an employee standpoint. So the quote was massively different from, let's say, $500 to $1,500 or $2,000. So you need, like, I was able to also give them guidance as to, like, okay, you need to do an S election. What about workers' comp? What about this? I was able to, like, look back and review and analyze and give them specific information because I went through opening a company in New York State.
Mm.
And I was able to like ask specific questions to make sure they're not missing anything. And also not only offer accounting services and tax services, but also give them advice as business owners, like hiring and firing and culture and any questions that they have. I was able to guide them through that and they loved it. The
Yeah.
business owners' feedback was like amazing. So then I was able to hire a marketing team. Then I moved myself to the marketing department and I started focusing on Facebook ads, marketing. So I was in every single department.
Yeah.
I sat in every department. I created SOPs and exactly what I wanted because again, I've learned that employees come in and they do things the way they want to be done, right? They don't know. They don't know.
Or
They
they assume what you might want done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think as business owners, it is our responsibility to let them know what we're looking for and be clear and specific. because I always in the past years ago I assumed that they know, but
Mm.
then when they gave me a product that I was not happy with, I blamed myself, and I said, this is not what I'm looking for. I need XYZ, and this is what I need, and then they were able to give it to me.
I actually really admire that because I think that a lot of business owners just then blame the employee and they say, "Well, why aren't you giving me what I want?" And
No.
in
Mhm.
reality, that's the truth because I didn't guide you in the direction of
Exactly.
what I want. I didn't explain well enough that
Right.
this is what I want. And to be honest, so I work with a lot of editors for the photo and video work that I do. Again kind of started with doing it all myself, and then it grew large enough where I was like, I need editors.
Mhm.
And the hardest part is when you take somebody new on because you have to train them into your style. But once you and I take the time, and it's a big time commitment because I really and I explain to them, look, I'm not trying to be nitpicky. I'm not once you understand what I want
Mhm.
a month or two in, I won't make any comments because I don't need to make any
Right.
comments because you totally get it. And
Right.
now you understand the thinking. And now you can even take initiative on your end and try ideas
Mhm.
that you think I might like because you understand the process. And it's
Mhm.
like if you can if you, it's I overshare in the beginning so
Me
that they
too.
really understand
Mhm.
what I'm looking for.
Me
And
too.
it creates such less friction.
Mhm.
And it's but I think that a lot of people again undershare and they assume that the people are going to
Right.
know. And even if they're super talented in their field. Like I've
Exactly.
worked with really talented people, but they're just doing the wrong thing because
Mhm.
it's not my branding.
Exactly. So I think every single company is different
Hmm.
and every owner wants different things. I've
Mm,
learned that so many years because I had CPAs work at CPA firms for 10, 15 years that are so corporate, but
mm,
that's not the way I do things. I do things the entrepreneurial way. And I want things done. And I also overshare. I say, these are the things that I'm looking for. I don't like to go back and forth. I don't like to do the same thing 3 times. So I say, this is what I'm looking for. I also send them a voice note in Slack of everything I'm looking for so they could re-listen to it
mm,
and they could like know exactly what I'm looking for. I feel like a lot of people have comprehension problems that they don't really understand and they need to re-listen to the voice note like 4 times so them for them to understand what I'm looking for. And as business owners, I think we're so fast paced that we just need to go back to remember what we needed from the employee. So I'm very specific, I'm very detailed, and I just won't settle for less. Like
yeah,
I have a very high standard.
I admire that. One thing you mentioned that I want you to kind of backtrack on is the pricing difference between an employee
Mhm.
pricing something and you pricing as the business owner. And you said that they think like an employee when pricing something. And I want you to expand on that because I found that really interesting.
Yeah, so I was able to double my business and go get to over 7 figures when I took this position. When I was able to speak to specific new clients, I was able to raise my prices and explain the value on the
Mm,
call. I don't think there's a budget problem for anyone. Most people that can't afford Louis Vuitton buy it anyway, right? And does Louis Vuitton ask you what is your budget? Absolutely not. They have a price, you go in there and you buy it,
mm,
right? So it's very similar. We need to explain and articulate value. If I'm able to help you save 20,000 or $30,000 in taxes and give you the peace of mind and make sure that your returns are going to be in perfect shape and explain everything to you, and it's all about communication. And Jim Rohn says this: once you master communication, you could master everything. And most people, I think the employees that I've seen, haven't mastered communication. So when you master communication and you have that bridge where the new client understands what you're able to do and you're able to over deliver on what they want, people will pay more money for speed
mm,
because they want to work with you, and because they feel that trust on the call. They will pay more money just because of that
yeah.
versus working with a corporate person, and after 4:59 they're not going to respond to your emails, right? I won't work with people like that
Hmm.
personally. I will pay more money for someone that is available and that will respond to me on a faster pace. And I would work with business owners and stay away from corporate people
Yeah.
on purpose because of that.
Yeah.
So people will pay more for speed, and they will pay if they know, like, and trust you. right? That those are the three factors in order for them to move their money from their account to your account. They need to be able to believe that you're able to give them the end result.
One thing you said that I think that really resonates, I think, is that people need to understand value. And I
Hmm.
think that one of the hardest things to sell is value.
Right.
You're not necessarily selling a service, you're not necessarily selling a product, you're selling value. And
Exactly.
if you can actually sell that, people are willing to spend that.
Right.
You know, a Louis Vuitton bag is still made in China.
Exactly.
You
And
know,
it's
just like
plastic.
every other bag that
Hmm.
you can buy on
Right.
Amazon, it's just they've created a value around it that people think it's worth differently.
Right.
If you drop it in the mud, it's gonna get
Hmm.
stained just like you know, it's and even if there and that being said, there are plenty of bags out there, speaking of Louis Vuitton,
Hmm.
that are better material, that
Hmm.
are more durable, that are more beautiful, but they
Exactly.
haven't created that value that Louis Vuitton has.
Right.
And they sold the value and
Right.
people are willing to pay for that. And it's the same exact thing on any service you can provide. If you can explain the value and share the value and convince the customer of the value,
Hmm.
they're willing to spend anything.
Exactly. Well, I personally don't convince anyone.
Mm,
I tell them the service. I always want the business owner to make the decision on their own.
yeah.
I give them facts, I give them options, and they need to make the decision on their own. I will never convince anyone to save money. If you want to save money, you come to me. I'm not convincing
Yeah.
you.
And I want to clarify my statement. I
Hmm.
didn't mean like you're trying to convince them
Right.
of like, oh, you should work me this, that. I'm not saying that
Mhm.
because typically when you have to convince the people, they end up being headaches of clients.
Exactly. Because salespeople normally do that,
Yeah.
and I don't do that.
Yeah. But I mean it more so if you can express the value up front and make people understand without even having to
Right.
convince them,
Exactly.
then they say, oh, wow, I need this service. And
Exactly.
then they're more interested as opposed to like them not totally understanding what you do or
Right.
understanding of why they'd work with you. But if you're
Hmm.
clear and direct about what you can provide and if if it's a pain point for them, then there's no question that they'd want to
Exactly. And
receive
I've
it.
mastered that. I've
Yeah.
had people come to me like, I don't really know if I need your service. I'm like, okay, let me ask you a bunch of questions and you're gonna see if you need me.
Yeah.
And I recently had that with with a client that sold herself.
Mm.
She's like, I think I do need you. And I'm like, okay, so we can help you. And also I have no contracts. You work with me because you
I
want to
agree
work
with
with
that.
me.
Yeah.
I'm
I
never
completely
gonna,
agree.
yeah.
So I do the same thing with my business. I don't like the kind of idea that people make. Oh, I do a lot of social media work for businesses, and a lot of people in my space say, okay, you need to sign at least a 3 month contract or something. I'm like, if you don't like this, if I'm not providing value to you, I don't want you to work with me
Same
because
here.
that's like I wouldn't want to work with you if
Me
you
too.
and be stuck in a
Exactly.
contract that like
Exactly.
now I'm dissatisfied with.
Hmm.
If you are not satisfied with work, I want you to tell me, and then if
Me
I
too.
can't provide that, then please leave. You know, like
Exactly.
because I don't want to
I have the
disappoint
same
you.
mindset. That's right.
So I want to pivot a little and I
Mhm.
want to talk about your social media
Mhm.
because that's how I found you and
Mhm.
I really admire the work you're doing on social media. The quality is incredible.
Thank you.
You post a lot and I just want to I want to hear your opinion on it, the ROI you've seen on it and
Mhm.
your mentality behind it.
Awesome. So I think social media is a must. If you don't have social media in your business, then there's no way that you can grow and scale. And every single business owner wants to do really good. I really believe that people are good people. I don't think people want to hurt others.
Mm.
And I think business owners that want to stay small are hurting other business owners because if you are so good at what you do, then why don't you want to help the world?
Mm.
Right? It's like a gift that you have that God gave you that you need to go out there and help other people. So I was always afraid to go on social media and I was like, you know what? Why am I keeping myself small? Why am I just limiting my services to the community around me? And as I got on social media, I was able to help people nationwide. And there are people that come to me from Texas, from Florida, from multiple states. And I was able to help so many people nationwide because of the spread of social media.
Mm.
And I think every single business owner should be doing it if they have an amazing service and that they believe in. It is like an obligation to help and to spread your word and your business to everyone. Social media has helped me a lot. It has drastically built my business and expanded my revenue
Mm.
to I don't know how much exactly, but I would say I don't think I would hit seven figures without social media.
Talk to me a little bit about that because I think that so many small businesses have a hard time understanding the value of social media. So you
Well,
kind of touched on it, but like just
mhm,
even revenue wise, like I'm not asking for specifics unless you want to share them, but
mhm.
like just how you've seen that impact. Like clients are coming to you through social media,
Yeah.
or like expand on that because I think that
So,
so many business owners need to hear that.
okay. So years ago, I went to a conference and Grant Cardone says, you don't need to be the best seller. You need to be best known,
Mm.
right? You could be the best seller book and be broke, but you need to be best known. Everyone needs to know you. So the more people you're able to touch and the more people that are able to know you, then they're able to reach out to you. I would say 80% or a lot of my business comes from social media and we do or organic marketing where I
Wait,
have
I'm
a
sorry, you said 80% of your business comes from social
I would
media?
think so, yeah. Because I don't have I have a storefront, but I don't really have people in New York, and I'm most of my clients come to me from nationwide. How else would someone find me in
Wow.
Texas
Yeah.
or Florida
And
or
I guess word of
California?
mouth is something, but like if they're finding you in
Very
California and you
minimal.
have,
I, I'm
wow,
not looking for word of mouth business
why is that?
because I think it's very slow growth. And I'm looking
Wow.
to
Yeah, I
scale
would agree with that.
massively. I'm not looking by the time the person shares who I am and what I do, I'm going to be a very successful business owner when 100 years old? No thing. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking to massively grow my business.
Oh, and that would, I think the proof is in the pudding, right? That phrase where I think that if you compare your business based on what I've learned so far and
Hmm.
compare the average business owner, they don't double every year in income. And that's because a lot of business owners rely on word of mouth.
Right.
And word of mouth is really reliable, but it's really slow.
It's slow. No, thank you.
And it's really interesting that you've been able to double almost every year, especially in your
Hmm.
beginning, and you're hitting seven figures
Hmm.
in revenue. And with that, that's a really interesting perspective that um, it's very similar. We spoke before we started filming about my background in on social media and on YouTube.
Hmm.
One of the main, so I made this really big. We've talked about me being a musician.
Hmm.
One of the main things that like people were really surprised with in my career is I made the pivot from playing live performances in local restaurants and local shows and stuff to focusing only on online stuff. And people were like,
Hmm.
Jacob, you need to go out and people to see you. And I'm like, but that it's not 1980 anymore where like bands are discovered at a local bar.
Hmm.
Like people are online. There's a lot more fish online than there are at this local restaurant or at this local bar. And I'm not, the chances of me being a Justin Bieber being on the side of the street and some producer comes by, like that's not going to happen.
Hmm.
And it's a very similar concept where like what you were saying, there's a lot of people online that if you just are the most known, and you
Right.
don't even necessarily have to be the best. Now, if you add on the fact that you
Of
are
course.
the best, how much
Then
more
it
valuable
makes,
can you exactly?
yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I don't rely on word of mouth. I'm not, I think that's like the lowest way of scaling your business. It has to be like social media or I put a lot of money into ads and Facebook ads and if I in my opinion and people could have their own opinions, but if you're not putting money into marketing, you have to be crazy that you think you're gonna grow.
Mhm.
You're not gonna grow.
So talk to me about that. So talk to me about what kind of ads are you running? What does it look like, and what kind of ROI are you getting?
So we run Facebook ads, Instagram ads. We're starting to do podcasting and YouTube now. I have a marketing team. I don't really know what they're doing, but they're just doing it. And all I know is in my mind, I tell myself I'm not spending enough on marketing. I reframe that. Before, most business owners would think I'm spending a lot on marketing, I'm not getting the ROI, but you need to consistently, quote unquote, lose money for a few months in order for you to win big. And I think most business owners have that mindset. They can't afford to lose money. I've lost like $50,000 into Facebook ads and haven't gotten anything. But I'm being relentless and I just continue to change a few things. And now it's working like crazy. So I'm getting so many leads. I'm getting so many amazing clients for my videos. I recently had a guy call me and he's like, Rachel, I don't know who you are, but I watched your video. And I said, okay, because whatever you just said was talking to me exactly. He is going to be a huge client. He
Mhm.
owes $1 million in taxes. And he's like, whatever you just said in that video touched me, and he's like, I'm very skeptical, but that video made me give you a call. And that's it. That's all. It's worth it.
Yeah.
So you never know how many people we reach out to through
Mm.
social media channels. And I think just like you have a storefront in your business, you have to have a social media presence.
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to highlight about you is you create great content, but you're also not the largest page on Instagram. You have a decent following, but it's not also tremendous.
Right.
And I think that the reason I want to point that out is that you can still be very, very successful
Exactly.
without having a million followers on
Right.
social media. And I think that's a facade that we've grown up in, or
Hmm.
not grown up, but like matured in
Right.
with social media being around. It's like, oh, you can only make money if you're,
Right.
have a million followers,
Let
or
me tell you something. Right. I have clients that make multi-millions and they're like they post once or twice a day.
Mhm.
So you could still make millions in dollars without having, like you said, millions of
Yeah,
followers. But you need to be consistent in social media.
yeah.
You need it's like a necessity.
I want to talk really briefly about the type of ads you're running. Like,
Mhm.
what does it look like? What that video that guy saw
Mhm.
hypothetically? What is it? Is you
It was
offering services? Are you explaining something? What are you doing?
Yeah. So first of all, the Facebook ads that I'm running, I have a Facebook ads agency. I pay them monthly, and I said I don't really care what you do as long as it's not legal. It's not
It's
illegal.
not legal. Please do all the
Exactly.
illegal things.
No, no, no. As long as it's not illegal, and we have like a Slack channel of Facebook ads, things like that. And I'm like, listen, just make it work. I don't want to meet with you on a weekly basis. I don't have the time to meet with
Sure.
people. I don't care. Send me KPIs every Friday evening. They do, and it's working. Also, if I know that something is working because I see the calls on my calendar, I don't need to meet with you. There's no point, right? It's working. The money is coming out. I like systematic things.
Sure.
I put money into Facebook ads. The calls are on my calendar. I close the leads and we're good.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just automatic,
Yeah.
right?
What kind of content are you filming to
So
put out there?
it's what I'm recording mainly is like because I have like 20 to 30 calls a week. So if I listen to something that business owners really need to listen to, then I will reshare that story. Like, I spoke to someone that's a professor or a dentist. I'll share the specific situations because what I don't want is I don't want business owners that have not called me yet to think that I will judge them.
Mm.
We have dentists that are behind 3 years in taxes and they came to us with a specific situation and I came up with a roadmap and we were able to help them get, current with the IRS and set up a payment plan. There's so many people that still need to speak to us, but they're afraid to pull the trigger because maybe they think that I'm going to judge them. Maybe they think that they're the only one. And most of them think that.
Yeah.
They're like they tell me on the call, you probably haven't seen it. Come on, I've seen everything. Don't tell me like I don't want people to think that they are the only ones in this situation. So I share specific stories so it could be relatable.
Yeah.
So people could resonate with that situation and schedule a call with us so we can help them.
What are some practical business tips? Tax planning, revenue planning, paying off debt, like
Right.
just all the things that you deal with,
Mhm.
like most FAQs, I guess you could say,
Right.
as a business owner. If you could fire a couple of them?
Sure. So number one is most business owners come to us with the wrong entity. So they come to us either they're a sole proprietor or a single member LLC. That is the worst entity only because you overpay in taxes when you're a single member LLC. When people come to us, they say that they went to their attorney and their attorney recommended a single member LLC, but the attorneys think of it from a protection standpoint, right? They want to make sure that they're legal and they're protected. That's fine, great, but you don't want to overpay in taxes. So most of the time, you want to convert that LLC to an S corp. And a lot of times you need an accountant to do that because if you don't do it right, you are going to get screwed, honestly. Like because it has to be done the right way. If you normally fax over the IRS form, the IRS sometimes gets it, they don't get it. So you need to work with a trusted advisor to make sure that things are done right. It's not just filling out a form and sending it. You need someone with years of experience to put the information on the paper and make sure that it's done right.
Mm.
Same thing with bookkeeping. You never want to do your books yourself. People think, oh, I could put staples into office supplies or Con Ed into utilities. Of course you can. But what do those numbers mean to you? Do they tell you how much money should I pay myself this month on payroll? Or are you looking at the numbers? Yeah, I made a $10,000 net income this month. Great. And you file that P&L and you're done with it. But what we do, we look at the P&L and we say, okay, we have a checklist, a detailed checklist. How much money should this business owner be paying themselves? Are they an S corp? Are they paying themselves a reasonable salary? Should we hire their kids? Should we hire their spouse? What specific things they need to do to reduce their liability? We have a internal checklist
Yeah.
that we do every single month for all of our clients. Then I have a sheet, company name, net income, and then payroll. And I verify to make sure people are paying themselves a reasonable compensation. Are they doing that? No.
Yeah.
The bookkeepers don't know. They're just classifying expenses in the right category. That's it. And sometimes bookkeepers, and all the time actually, they don't know tax law. So they're just guessing.
Mm.
And do you do well with guessing? Business owners don't need to guess.
Yeah.
You don't want to guess if you're going to retire at 50 or 60, right?
Yeah.
That's a big guess.
Yeah.
And that's what guessing is going to cost you. 10 years of your life.
Yeah.
No one wants that.
Yeah.
So if you hire a trusted advisor, you could retire at 50 versus 60.
Yeah.
So it just benefits you.
What size business would work well with working with you? Any size business, or do you have a certain range of
Any.
business owners?
Yeah.
So somebody that's doing $100,000 in revenue
Yeah.
versus $1 million, they
Yeah.
all.
I love to help people.
Yeah.
I love it. I enjoy it so much.
I just want to clarify. You do all like the whole package of
Yeah.
of accounting.
Yes. So everything. So the business owner comes to us and they say, okay, I need QuickBooks setup. We do that. We do the bookkeeping. We do the monthly books. We process payroll. We set up payroll. We do their sales tax in multiple states if they have that. Then we, at the end of the year, we do their 1099s. We file their corporate returns. We file their individual returns. In between, we do their estimated tax payments. If they have any IRS or state notices, we handle it. We do it all. So any financial or tax related problem or question that they have, they know that Empire or Practice Wealth Partners is the person to help them. And if I can help them with something, I will refer them to someone that I trust. Because I want to make sure that, my businesses are being protected. There's so many people out there that just don't, they think they do good work, but they don't. Like some financial advisors could give you some advice that is not really like just good advice. They'll just like give you broad advice without looking at your finances. Or like payroll companies would just say, and I know ADP and Paychecks do it, and I don't know if I should say the name, but they'll say, oh yeah, I think you should be paying yourself $100,000 or $150,000. But that's malpractice. How do you tell a business owner what their payroll should be without looking at their numbers, without looking at their bank account, without asking how many hours they are working in the business? You are guessing. And because of that, you're overpaying 30% in taxes because you're just guessing a number from the cloud.
Yeah.
How do you, it just doesn't make sense. Everything in business has to be intentional. And if it isn't, you're going to guess and you're going to prolong your retirement.
Yeah. It's fascinating. And I could talk about this all day because I find this stuff super interesting. One thing I always like asking business owners is what they find is a new opportunity or new avenue, or I don't want to use that word trend, but what's something that's new in your industry that you're excited about?
Right now, the new trend is tax planning. I think a lot of businesses are understanding that there is a way to reduce your taxes. 20 years ago, people would think that it's more of a scam or they're skeptical, but the IRS wrote the code for businesses. And if you follow Robert Kiyosaki, you need to know the 4 quadrants, right? You go from employee, which is the worst because you can't write off any of your expenses. And then you go down to being a self-employed business owner, which equates to a sole proprietor or a single member LLC when you're not taxed as an S corp and you overpay in taxes, but you could still write off your expenses. Then you go up to being a business owner when you hire employees, and then down to an investor when you have a lot of cash and you're starting to invest in and buying real estate and you're becoming an investor. So you need to say, so like I would say, tax planning is the next big thing. And right now there are so many tax strategies that business owners can utilize to reduce their taxable liability. And I'm telling you, I talk to so many people and they tell me, Rachel, please make sure that I don't go to jail. And I'm like, you're not going to go to jail. You need to you need to have a right mindset.
Yeah.
The law is written for us. And when you're an employee, you have no risk. You're going to work, and that's why you pay the most taxes. Think about it. The IRS wrote the code for business owners. So you go to employee, you have no risk. We buy your equipment, you come to work and you do the work, right? Then as a self-employed business owner, you have a little bit more risk, you're paying more taxes. But as a business owner, you're doing good things because you're hiring more people, you're working
Stimulating
after
the
hours,
economy.
exactly. And then as an investor, you're also helping other people with shelter, you're buying property. You have that headache of being a landlord
It's
versus,
very interesting. Yeah.
yeah, that's why there are specific credits that are given to business owners and investors, and the code serves those people. Like investors have depreciation. Most investors don't pay taxes because they have cost segregation and they have depreciation. They could write off depreciation, which is like a paper write-off, right? Let's say you buy a property for $1 million. If it's a commercial property, it's 39 years. If it's a residential property, it's 27 and a half years. And most of the time, you don't pay taxes when you have a property, depending on the situation. But the code benefits businesses and investors. And business owners should utilize and take advantage of the code to reduce their taxable liability. If they are overpaying in taxes and they think that they're doing a good thing, they're not. I'm telling you, as licensed by the IRS, you are not doing anything good. You'd rather take that money, proactively look before the year ends. Like right now, every business owner should know what their year to date liability is and see what they need to do to reinvest it so they pay less taxes. For example, either hire someone so they could produce more revenue for you, put money into Facebook ads so they could get 3 to 4x ROI, hire a social media company, do more videos. There's so many things that you could do to scale your company so you pay less taxes. And then also hire a trusted advisor. There are like strategies like the oil and gas strategy or other advanced strategies that you could utilize. And there's like cash flowing strategies that business owners could do, and you don't pay taxes at all.
Hmm.
And I mean, obviously, it depends on the strategies. I had a dentist who had a $1.7 million liability, and I was able to help him invest into a specific strategy, and he got a $25,000 refund.
What's the oil and gas strategy?
It's like a strategy where you invest into it's like I mean it's very advanced. I could show you offline, like it's very specific. You give them money and then you get like 3 to 4x ROI. So instead of you paying the tax, you invest into oil and gas. And that's one of the very low end strategies. Most people think that's advanced, but for us it's like level 1. There are many other strategies that you could invest in to save money on taxes. And most business owners are not familiar with it. And what's sad is I went to school, I have an accounting degree, I have my license by the IRS. Nobody taught me this.
Mm,
What in the world?
yeah,
Why?
yeah,
How can I go to school for 4 years
yeah.
and no one told me how to prepare a return? Nobody told me what compliance means, how to call the IRS. What did I go to school for?
Yeah.
It's the dumbest thing. I'm sorry.
No, I hear you.
It's crazy.
So wrapping it up, one of the questions I like asking business owners is, what is something that you know now in your business or in your career that you wish you knew when you first started out?
I wish I knew how to dream bigger. That's like big because when I just started my company, my first goal was to hit 100,000. And if I said that if I hit that, then I would be so happy. And then I hit 200,000 and 300,000. I wish I went from like, I am going to hit over 7 figures and start with that big plan, even though it scared me, but at least I have something that excites me because money is one thing, but the more money we make, the more clients we're able to help and we're able to serve so many more people. So I would tell everybody, gain confidence, build a bigger business because we have one life to live. So why play small,
Hmm.
right? I
Yeah.
would never want to play small. And the other thing is competence builds confidence. If you don't know something, learn it. Don't be afraid to learn it. If you don't know taxes, get on a call with a tax strategist and ask specific questions. Some people are afraid to ask questions because they think that they're going to look dumb.
Yeah.
But think about it. They never went to school for accounting. So how are you supposed to know?
Yeah.
Like you said, you're a musician. I don't know anything about musician. I don't know anything about music, right? And you're the expert. You go to the expert and it's okay to look dumb
Mhm.
because you are hiring an expert. And if anyone makes you look dumb, you fire them.
Mhm.
You don't work with them because that's just their ego
Yeah.
issue, right? It's just I would not work with people that are just have no human decency,
Yeah.
right? So hire the right people. There's many things that I needed to hire an attorney, and I'm okay with looking dumb. I don't care because I know I have enough confidence. I know who I
Yeah.
am, right? So as a business owner, you hire, you hire who you need to hire, you hire experts, you make sure you delegate your books and taxes to the right person. You don't hire an assistant and hope that they do it right, or your spouse. Okay? You make sure that you do it right the first time,
Mm.
and don't be afraid to hire. I was always afraid to hire. I know the saying goes, hire slow, fire fast. But I would actually say hire fast, fire fast, because you never know who's the right fit for you
Mm.
anyway. It's going to take you a month to hire someone and then they won't work out. Now you wasted a month.
Mm.
And I can't stand wasting time.
Yeah.
I don't waste time. So I hire fast based on the specific qualifications. And then if they don't work out, you fire fast and you move on. My favorite word is move.
Yeah.
I'll never stay in the same place.
I love that.
I move fast. Don't cry. Clients cancel, move.
Yeah.
Employees cancel or quit, you move. You don't stop.
Yeah.
You just keep on moving. And that's it.
I love it. It's been an incredible
Thank
conversation,
you.
and I look forward to chatting
Thank
more
you.
with you. And
Thank you.
I again, if any business, give you guys a call. So there'll be links down in the description there. They can find out more about your business. But it's been an absolute pleasure. So thank you so much for
Thank
taking
you.
the time.
Thank you. Thank you. I love this. This is fun.